And there it is. We all knew it was gonna happen. Come on, let's not play any games. Jeffrey Epstein found dead in NYC jail. This story is breaking right now. Jeffrey Epstein, the millionaire financier and accused sex trafficker, was found dead by suicide on Saturday at a Manhattan jail, according to 3 officials familiar with the matter. The officials told NBC News he was found at 7:30 a.m. at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, and that he hanged himself. Epstein, 66, was being held on federal sex trafficking charges. He was arrested July 6 in Teterboro, New Jersey, as he returned from Paris on a private jet. He has pleaded not guilty and was denied bail. No comments or anything, but I do have the past story. And there's your breaking news. There's your breaking news update. Got it done in a minute. But I want to talk about this beyond just the breaking news. Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch. How is this possible? How is it possible for someone who has already tried to commit suicide to have actually pulled it off? Let's throw aside all the conspiracy theories, but boy, do I want to talk about those conspiracy theories because, congratulations, New York City, you are so incompetent. You have just exacerbated all conspiracies to the upteenth degree. And now that's it. You know what, man? You are now going to have every single person, every moderate individual now scratching their beard, their chin. I'm sorry, there are women involved. Scratching their chin going, I don't know about this one. I gotta say, I detest conspiracy theories. I defer to Occam's razor, and I'm scratching my head at this. And so are a bunch of journalists on Twitter saying, how was it possible that a man that was on suicide watch successfully pulled off a suicide? My opinion, criminal negligence. I'm saying it straight up. Look, we can't play the conspiracy game. We need evidence first and foremost. But a lot of people are asking questions because it was so obvious Epstein would never make it to trial. This guy escaped justice once, and now he's escaped justice forever. The mainstream view, Occam's razor, which is, for those that aren't familiar, the simple solution tends to be the correct one. Look, man, let me just say this. I know there's a lot of people who believe there's conspiracies. They're probably now going to say this guy was put down. And you know what? I got to say this. As much as I don't believe that's the likely solution, I think the guy killed himself like he wanted to. You're gonna be hard pressed to convince people that a guy who was on suicide watch pulled it off. I'm not at the end of story. When they're concerned, absolutely concerned about someone ending their own life, they take away anything that can be used to hang themselves and they put them in an empty room. Epstein was on suicide watch. How did this happen? Now, there's a lot of conspiracies here. Here's the problem. There's been a long-standing conspiracy about the Clintons and their body count. And my understanding is that there are a lot of people in the periphery to the Clintons who have died in, unfortunate circumstances. I'm not going to go into the full details because I don't believe, here's the thing. It's not that I don't believe in conspiracies. It's that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. People dying is not extraordinary evidence. Evidence would be something like Hillary Clinton being found with a bloody glove and holding a knife. That's extraordinary evidence. But the conspiracies are going to be impossible to quell now. And I can't blame the individuals who are laughing because there have been stories popping up. Bill Clinton was on the airplanes. People have talked about it over and over again. When Epstein got arrested, everyone said, we know he will commit suicide. We know it's going to happen. And there were jokes about it. There are joke tweets from Hillary Clinton, like a fake tweet where she's like, I'm so sad, it'll be so sad when Epstein commits suicide at 2:34 p.m. in a week from now. That's the joke. People said it was going to happen, and then it happened. But let me stress, okay, because I can't do the conspiracies, guys. Listen, he's an older guy. He's a monster. He's caught. He's not going to get to go home. He's going to now spend his time in a cell. You've got to understand the massive shock to the system for someone like that and why they would try to end their own life. There's no sympathy. There's no remorse. He's going down. It's done. But there's also a lot of people he's probably friends with. So here's why I always defer to Occam's razor. The simple solution tends to be the correct one. Just think about the basics of the case. The guy's life's over. He's done. Everything, he wanted to do, everything he was doing, he can't do it anymore. Oh, poor baby. He's a disgusting freak monster. So now he's gone from this wealthy, lavish life to sitting in a cage with a bunch of other criminals. And that's a massive shock. Listen, there are a lot of people who are poor. Most people who go to prison are going to be poor. And they're not used to living in mansions and having all of their whims catered to. So this guy is now facing a terrifying reality. Everyone hates him. And more importantly, even if this wasn't suicide, people like him don't last long in prison. They're probably going to get beaten on. They have no friends. So yeah, I'm not surprised the guy tried to kill himself. And now the bigger problem is, again, starting from Occam's razor, but we'll talk about the conspiracies. How do you have a guy in suicide watch successfully hanging himself? Did he do the pass out game? What did he use to actually hang himself with, and why did he have it, and where were the feds? There are witnesses coming out. There's a lot of testimony that needs to be heard, and now the main guy, he's gone. So here's the thing. This is a scandal beyond all scandals, okay? You have a Manhattan correctional facility where they're supposed to be watching this, not doing their job. So here's my thing. Okay, fine. Who was on watch that day? You knew this guy was at risk. You had one job that is criminally negligent, in my opinion. Granted, there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, they couldn't stop it, whatever. The point is, look at this. So this is the past story, okay? I want to highlight this, and then I want to talk more about conspiracy stuff. Jeffrey Epstein found injured in NYC jail cell after possible suicide attempt, sources. Epstein was found semi-conscious with marks on his neck, sources said, and investigators are trying to piece together, exactly what happened. So they say, I just want to get to the meat and potatoes here. They said a fourth source said an assault has not been ruled out, and that another inmate was questioned. The inmate who investigators have talked to in Lower Manhattan facility has been identified as Nicholas Tartaglione. According to sources, Tartaglione is a former police officer in Westchester County who was arrested in December 2016 and accused of killing 4 men in an alleged cocaine distribution conspiracy, then burying their bodies in his yard in Otisville in Orange County, according to court records. Epstein and Tartaglione were cellmates. 2 sources tell NBC4 New York. Subsequently, on Thursday, a senior official reiterated that all 3 theories, attempted suicide, try for transfer and attack by inmate, are still in play. I don't know where they've gone from. Look, I Google searched Epstein suicide watch. This was the first story that came up. There may be updates in between this. There's a lot of theories going around as to actually what actually happened. Apparently, this guy. Here, let's read this. The attorney for Tartaglione denied all the claims that his client attacked the financier, saying his client and Epstein get along well. The attorney added Epstein was seen today and appears to be fine. They are in the same unit and doing well, said Bruce Barquette, an attorney for Tartaglione. He said any claim that he might have assaulted Epstein is absolutely not true. They say that he and Epstein have been complaining about conditions inside the MCC, including flooding, rodents, and bad food. So I'll say this. Conspiracies are going to explode, and I'm even seeing journalists imply conspiracy. But but hold on, just give me a second. The first theory was that, one of the theories was that he was attacked by his cellmate. Another theory is that it was an attempt to get him transferred somewhere else. But take a look at this. They were saying that they were complaining about flooding, rodents, and bad food. Think about that, man. You're a working class guy. You're middle lower class, and you go to prison, and you're like, yeah, I'm living in squalor, but it's not that too far off from where you were. Epstein is probably having panic attacks with flooding, rodents, and bad food. He's probably super miserable. Here's the thing, however. I'm actually seeing now mainstream journalists on Twitter questioning how this happened, because at the very least, there is a major scandal. Possibly the biggest scandal in the history of the United States justice, like correctional facilities, or however you want to frame it. Here we have one of the biggest cases of our generation. The guy who had a private island, who was trafficking underage women to powerful individuals. And so that's first and foremost a huge scandal. Like, whoa, the guy's finally going down for this. Then he tries to kill himself, at least according to what the reports are saying. That's what they believe to have happened. How did it happen the first time? It shouldn't have. This guy should be locked down and being fed by hand by someone else to make sure he talks, and we figure out who's doing what. Then he's put on suicide watch. You want to talk about the scandal beyond all scandals? We're nearing the point now where I have to say the simple solution is someone shutting him up or him trying to protect his buddies. We're at that point. Why did he want to kill himself? I don't know. Maybe he didn't. You're going to be hard-pressed to convince anybody it wasn't a conspiracy, that someone didn't turn a blind eye and let him do it. At the very least, in terms of a conspiracy, you have a guard saying, ooh, I'm looking over here, or knowing it was happening. I was shocked when I saw a bunch of journalists NBC reporters, Huffington Post being like, no way, no way. How does this happen? This is a scandal. Look, I don't want to, I really, really don't like entertaining conspiracy theories, but I've got to say, man, how do you convince a regular person that the simple solution is this guy wanted to end his own life when he was on suicide watch? Even if he did, which is, I believe in the first circumstance, absolutely. How did he do it while on suicide watch? Especially when the meme going around was about Clinton and people around the Clintons dying. Congratulations, at the very, very least, the people who work in Manhattan who should, in my opinion, should be criminally negligent and held accountable for this. You have just exacerbated the conspiracy beyond, like for the average person, beyond a reasonable doubt. No, for sure, and I mean that. I'm not one to believe that, but I'll say this. You've got a guy who can bring down powerful people, and everyone is saying, when will he suicide himself? When will he be suicided? I'll make one more point, though, because, I'm not going to rant on this. If you're rich and powerful, and you're holding secrets of other powerful people and you're trafficking, minors, and then you get arrested, technically I would say you've committed suicide. Because how many of those people have the ability to end you? It's not about the Clintons. It's not about any one person. It's about the fact that here's a guy who has a bunch of extremely wealthy people that may be about to go down who will stop at nothing to make sure they aren't in a cell next to him. So, I don't know, man. Here's what's going to happen. I'm willing to bet it's going to say, yep, he just committed suicide, end of story. That's what the official said. We're going to take the official statement from it. Great. Investigative journalists dig into this one, because I think at this point, we either have the biggest scandal in the history of corrections, that a guy on suicide watch who's involved in one of the biggest cases of our generation has successfully killed himself, or we do have a conspiracy. I gotta say, while I lean towards it's obvious, like the dude, like there's really good reason why this guy would want to end his life, we also need to consider that there is a potential simple solution in that I don't care for the Clinton conspiracy, I really don't, but how many billionaires were about to have their lives destroyed? So they're gonna, look, the simple solution at a certain point is when you have even 10 billionaires, how hard is it for them to go, $200,000, turn around, let them do it, at the very least? Or how $10 million, end this guy, right? What is the simple solution at this point? I gotta say, how someone commits suicide on suicide watch, and we all knew it was gonna happen. What does that say? I kid you not. What does that say? Go to any journalist and say, do you think Epstein will survive trial? And they're going to tell you no, of course not. And here we are. I don't know what that means, but I will stress one important point before I sign off. We don't have all the facts. We don't know all the details. We can't make assumptions about what is or isn't. And please, the conspiracy theories hurt investigative journalism. For now, the official report is he committed suicide. Great. That's what we have. That's the official report. And now it's up to investigative journalists to do their jobs and look for what happened. When you go and say it was the Clintons or it was, the Illuminati or whatever conspiracy you believe, you immediately shut down the prospect for a real conversation as to how this happened. I believe it's likely that we have a major scandal, but it's hard. It's like, I can't answer this question. I can't answer the question. How does someone commit suicide on suicide watch? I mean, it happens. But why didn't they strip him naked, put him in an empty room? You can still bash your head in the wall. So I don't know. I really don't know, but I'll leave it there. This is nuts. This is nuts. Next segment will be at 1 p.m. I'll see you then.